What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my garage. This is a continuation of the 100 series Landcruiser and LX470 door actuator lock replacement. I'm going to be tackling the trunk today. Here I am. We're just going to pop open the trunk and get started here. And we'll remove the handle by taking care of these Phillips heads right here. So this panel just sort of comes off similar to the door handles. You're going to have to manipulate this a bit to get it out of place. Then we're going to proceed to take off this trim panel piece here so that we can get to the actuator inside. So I'm basically using one of my panel remover tools just to lightly pry on this. And you're actually going to need to unclip it from the side here. So just be careful to not put too much stress on that. So I've got the panel out. Now, pay attention to these little red guys here. This is pretty common for Toyota cars. Sometimes these guys will actually get stuck into their respective holes in the metal. So you're going to want to do is just make sure those are all out, and then you can just reinsert it into the clip here so that the panel can pop back on. All right, now with this exposed, we have access to the actuator. So we're gonna get that out of there. Hey, look what I found, guys. In my first video, I told you I did this a few years ago and used some shitty Harbor Freight epoxy. So the plastic case simply broke open and our motor was simply not present inside the actuator. So we're just gonna get to that, test this motor and reseal it. We don't actually need to mess with any of these clips like the doors. So there's actually several of them. You know, there's for the actual lock and the latch for both the inside and the outside. So there's like 4 of them. You're not gonna want to touch those though. We'll remove this 10mm bolt here to free this metal housing, which should give us access to this black actuator. And then just like the doors, we can proceed to remove the black actuator from the rest of the subassembly with these small Phillips head screws. And don't forget to unplug the actuator as well too. I've got the battery disconnected already. I removed that 10mm bolt just to give me a little bit more flex to remove these Phillips heads while I can leave this whole subassembly in place. I'm using like a little right angle ratchety hex driver or bit driver to get that clearance. So with all those screws removed, I can just grab the actuator out, and I unplugged it already. And so I've got my 2 halves, the missing motor. Let's actually test the motor before I seal this back up. Right guys, I've plugged the motor half back on there, and I've replugged the battery, and so let's give this a shot just to see. And that's not going to let me close it, but clearly if it's rotating in one direction, it should rotate in the other. So our motor is good. I'm just going to seal it back up with that JB weld like I did with the doors. I'm going to link part 1 so that you can watch how I did that. Well, this sealed up really nicely. Now we're going to just work backwards to reinstall it. No, just a lot of hot sauce, please.